What's going on, everybody? Jerry here with 3D HP, and Fun Creole sent me out two types of their light curing putty, and we're going to work on one of my models, and we're going to putty some cracks, see how it works, and we'll get into it right after this. Welcome back, makers. I've got this big base of a project I'm working on for my son. This is by Wicked 3D, and it's a scene from The Crow with Brandon Lee. And this is a table, and I have some cracks I have to repair. And Fun Creole sent me out their light curing putty to try out, and we're going to try it out on this project and see how it works. So let me switch cameras, and we'll get going here. Alrighty, let's take a look and see what we got in the package here. I haven't opened these up yet. And this will be in a syringe, which will be liquid form. And we'll try that out here in just a second. Let's take a look at what we got here, another one. And also, if you buy any of their resin, they give you samples of this one right here in a very small tin. Okay, we've got a small applicator. And then a small tin, which is sealed in plastic. I need to cut that. Now, when working with this, don't be near any direct sunlight. If it's beaming through a window, you don't want to cure this in its container. So keep it away from direct sunlight. Take the plastic off there. And let's see what we got here. Feels like wax. Consistency of wax. And see what we got here, another one. Pull that back a little bit to retract it in. Cap back on. Not showing up too well on camera. Looks like very thick resin. Now, when some people repair seams, they'll take resin, they'll use a talcum powder, baby powder, something like that, put it in a small container, stir it up to make it very thick, and then use an applicator to put it on the cracks or seams of their models, cure it with a UV light. Instead of having to do all that, you can simply buy their product. Comes in a syringe, apply it where you need it, and if needed, you can take an applicator, which could be a toothpick, a blunt paintbrush, or the end of a paintbrush, or popsicle stick, and put it right where you need it, and then cure it. And when you cure it, you have a few different options. You can use a UV flashlight, like we have here. You can buy a larger UV light, like we have here. You can have a UV station that you put your prints in, or you can set it out in the sun. If you set an object out in the sun, I usually cure 10 minutes per side whenever I do that. And that's not showing up real good on camera. These are a good start to get things going. I prefer to use a larger lamp like this or put it in my UV curing station. But it says it will cure in like a minute with the syringe and 2 minutes with the paste. And like I say, I prefer to do everything longer to make sure. And when you use the paste, if you have a large amount into a large area, you would want to cure it longer because you don't want to just cure the surface and have the material to be wet underneath. So you definitely want to cure it longer, and I would recommend putting it underneath a larger light like this for 5 to 10 minutes, or setting it out in the sun for 5 or 10 minutes per side if you're doing, you know, an object or anything like that. But I'm going to, I got a model here I want to try out. And typically, another thing, I got epoxy sculpt here. For many years now, I'll use a 2-part epoxy. Epoxy sculpt, it's like clay. You mix equal parts, and I will use that on my prints. But what's bad about it, you gotta let it cure for 24 hours. It's rock hard before you can work with it and sand it down. You can use Milliput, which is also a 2-part clay. You take equal parts, mix it up just like epoxy sculpt, and that's another way, rather than working with straight resin. And then when you go to sand whatever object you're working on, I like buying these sticks right here. You get them off Amazon, Walmart, a million places to buy them. They're fingernail files. They're very soft. They get in nooks and crannies. You can cut them short if you need to. And these work very well for sanding any kind of resin prints. Really small areas, sanding twigs. You can find these over at Amazon or different hobby stores. Sanding sticks or sanding twigs. There's different types of twigs in here, and there's a little piece of sandpaper to get nooks and crannies working on models and different subjects. So I just wanted to get that covered. And then as far as for applicators, there's many different types of applicators you can buy, whether they're big or very small, or like I say, toothpicks. There's so many different things you can use. Always wear protective gloves and safety glasses when working with your resin prints. And if you had an object that was wood and you wanted to fill it, if it was a 3D print at a PLA, this will work perfect on it, or on resin prints. It's perfect for working on pretty much anything and everything, for filling cracks, filling seams, sanding down, and such. So let me bring a print up here and we'll get started. Okay, here's a base to model I'm working on by Wicked 3D for my son. It's a scene from The Crow, and this is a big table. Brandon Lee stands up on it, and then you have different bad guys that sit around the table. And as you can see, it's got some seams that need to be filled. So, I'm going to set it down on my towel so I can get the bottom side here. And we're going to try the pen first. Take off the tip. Put on your safety glasses. And let's carefully go over the seam. I need to switch to my reading glasses. Pull back a little bit, suck it back in. Grab my and I'll just carefully wipe it in the seam. I started to use my rubber glove on my finger. You don't want to do that. If you accidentally cure it, it will burn. It'll get extremely hot, and you definitely do not want to do that. And as you can see there, that's completely filled that seam. Let's grab my UV light. And that will have it fully cured. Now, once you get completely done, you can run another UV light, go over it. Like I say, There's many ways to cure, whether it be out in the sun for 5 or 10 minutes, or you can use this larger light and put on it. You know, just set it up wherever and let that cure it. But that worked very well, very smooth. Now let's go over here where we've got a larger gap, and we're going to try the paste and see how that works out. Like I say, the paste is like a wax. It's exactly like wax. I don't want to get too much in there. Just get a very small amount on the tip, and we can carefully wipe it in the crack. Use it sparingly. Now, some people might even take old supports of a model, stick a support down in there to help fill up the gap, and then carefully go over the top of it to seal it. That way they're not using so much of the material here. But there's lots of different ways you can do it. Just take your time, go over it. Like I say, don't use too much. Use it sparingly. It's better to be a little bit too high and sand it down than to be too low and have to add more. But if you completely want to get rid of the seam and not see it, any excess, just scrape it back in there. Take a tissue or a paper towel and you can wipe off your instrument. Okay, now for this one I'm going to use my larger UV curing lamp. Put on it. And personally, I'd say Ed says to cure it in 1 or 2 minutes. I'd at least five minutes at least. The most, like I say, the most I ever cure my resin prints are usually 10 minutes per side when I put them in the curing station. So these UV lights here, this particular one is by G-Tech. I'll put a link down below in the description where you can buy all these products at. And I'll put a link to Wicked 3D if you'd like to check out this crow model that I'm building. I may put a little more light on it, but for now, I'll grab my sanding stick here. And I can carefully, if I need to, sand right over it. Wipe off the excess, and now I got a perfect seam. And same with this other one. You can always leave it just slightly high, just barely high. You can sand it down, and you get all done, you won't even see the line. Now I don't have any water handy, I take just a little bit of water and I'll wipe over that and it'll blend right back in. But yeah. Let's check out their website. Let's see what we got here. Okay, here we have their light curing putty. Over here on Amazon, it's $23.99. And also, it's explaining how you can, once you put your hole in your resin print for draining purposes, how you can plug it with the putty and cure it. Different examples. It says wear protective glasses. Use a wooden stick or extract. Yeah, okay. Talked about that. Smoothing out the surface. Cure it with a UV lamp. 365 to 405 nm for 1 to 2 minutes. I recommend 5 to 10, depending on what you're working with, how thick it is. If it's just a crack, 1 or 2 minutes will be fine. If you're working with the paste, which is like wax, and it's a much thicker area, I recommend 5 to 10 minutes at least. Then you can easily sand it when you're done. And then their 302 light curing putty. It's 15 grams in a tube. And use it very sparingly. This would be good for really tiny cracks. You wouldn't want to use this on a large crack and burn through your tube real fast. So personally, I would buy a couple of each one. That way you have them on hand, so when you have a problem, you can easily jump back to it and fix your model. It's just kind of a fast little video here, but yeah, this works really well. It worked very well. Just take your time. It's very good for filling cracks in different areas. It's it's got the consistency of wax, like I said, in a small little tin. And then the pen, it's very good for getting in small little areas, and it's in liquid form. Once you start dispensing it, once you get done, just retract it, pull it back a little bit, it'll suck it back into the tube. And be sure to put the black cap back on, which I have here somewhere. Okay, here it is. Put the little black cap back on. And keep it out of direct sunlight. Do not use this ever in direct sunlight. So if you're sitting by a window or something, don't have it beaming over your shoulder and have it cure out your ruin your product and have it cure it. But yeah, I would highly recommend the product. It seemed to work fine. I'll have lots of seams to do on this model to go around on the table. I'll get all that done. I'm going to make some shorts about the product. And then I have Brandon Lee here. He has already been primed. So a few places on his cloak, I'll have to sand off the primer to make sure that the putty will get in there and properly cure the little seams. There's a few seams around the waist here that I want to do, so I'll lightly sand it with one of my sanding twigs, and then I will get in there with the pen and go over those areas. But yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. Please like, subscribe, share. Down below in the description where it says more, click that right below the title, and there'll be somewhere where you can find out about the model I'm working on, the Fun Creole products. And yeah, pretty much anything and everything will be right down below. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you to all my channel members here on YouTube. I'll list them here on the screen. I appreciate you guys. You help make all this possible with all the donations and subscriptions and the follows and the shares and all that. It helps make all this work. It helps to keep me making great content. And whenever working with resin, wear glasses, wear safety gloves. Be safe. Don't get it on your skin. If you should ever get any of this resin on your skin or this product, do not hit it with UV light. You'll get a severe burn out of it because it gets extremely hot when it cures. So you don't want to get it your skin, on your skin or in your eyes and hit it with UV light of any kind. And by UV light, we mean things like this. So, everybody have an awesome day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.